Hello everybody, it's me, Twizy here, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Zoo, and today I am doing a speed build of this ravine that I made for the bison and buffalo, although I do add some more animals in here. Probably you'll see it in the next, not the next episode, but the episode after that, because the next episode I am making a tiger enclosure, and it looks really pretty, I'm not gonna lie, but this one is for kind of more of a plains feel. And here I'm just carving out the sides of the walls to try to make it, have them have some, hard shelter and stuff, because I didn't want to have a lot of clutter in here, because these animals that I did end up adding later on, they need a lot of space, so I just kind of added, just some natural areas that they can hide and stuff. And another thing, the hardest part of this build was figuring out the barriers, because at this point I didn't understand, the knoll barriers and why it wasn't letting me place anything inside the ravine, and it was a struggle, when you place I was placing the barriers, right on the edge of the ravine top, and, kept saying the animals were escaping, because, they went underneath into those little coves. It was a pain. Anyway, though, I am making a little bit of a pond for the animals, because I wanted it to be, a lot of water in here. Just because later on I do add some animals that do like to swim, although it's not required, they like it. And then I was doing some terrain painting here, because I think it's something I kind of neglect, is terrain paint, so I wanted to make sure that I got it in pretty early on, and got it right. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about one of the series that I have going on my channel right now, which is my Minecraft Mo Creatures. I don't really know the future for that series, just because that mod is it's outdated for one, but it has just so many issues, and so I'm running into issues with trying to figure out how I can, actually make the series work when half the animals won't spawn, so that's great. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I know people like it. I just can't make a proper zoo in that game when I can't get all the animals without cheating them in. It's just not fun, so I don't know what I'm going to do there, so that's why I'm kind of sticking to Planet Zoo a bit more now, since it's something that I enjoy and it's a stable game, so it actually works out. Although I'm sure if I do have to end the Mo Creatures series, I will, come up with another series for Minecraft. I just don't know what yet. So this is the staff path I'm making, and don't worry, I do change this. Not in this episode, I don't know if I'll actually ever show it, but I just kind of made it a bit more smooth, kind of, and covered it with plants and stuff. And here I'm messing with those barriers again. I hate the damn barriers. I don't know, I just didn't know how they worked at the time, so it was super frustrating. And here I was trying to get the animals in, and seeing it wouldn't let me place them in there, and I was super confused and super annoyed, but that was that struggle. Here I have this natural rock barrier with the path, because even though the people in this game can't go off the path, like in real life, if this was an actual zoo, you could, and your small child was, fall into the ravine and die, so I just wanted to have a kind of a barrier, make it look a bit more fancy, so I just added these rocks in here. Plus, it gave me a really good place to, put the TVs. I just put the TVs on the rocks, so people could see what the animals were in there, and, make it look a bit nicer. And then I also added some rocks underneath the bridge as well, because it was kind of this weird gap, as you can see, and I thought it would just look really weird if I didn't add rocks there, so I went and I just covered the rocks around on each side. And I think it made it look a little bit better than it would have, because it, did have this weird, gap in the terrain. You can't really, change that after you place it, so I just kind of worked with what I had. And as you can see, there are trees in there, and it's kind of decorated, but that's all going to change, so don't pay attention to that. Like I said, I started off, and I was just placing what I thought looked pretty, and then I was like, oh shit, I actually have to take care of the needs of what the animals want, so all of that changed. Unfortunately, I would like to have some, trees in there and stuff like that, but the animals just don't like trees. So, plus, when I added all the other animals, which you'll see in the future, that just wouldn't have worked out at all. Of course, I placed that TV upside down, what's new, but as you can see, I just kept getting so many notifications about the animals trying to get out, and it was like, oh my god, the barriers was such a pain in this. Now that I know how they work, it's not, but at the time I just did not know much about the game. I didn't have that expertise. I wasn't watching videos on it yet, so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was just kind of playing. Here as you can see, I'm adding some enrichment items, which do not change despite the fact that everything else changes. The rocks don't change either. I literally just did not know what I needed in here, and yeah, it was kind of bad. But yeah, I'm adding some enrichment items, and then I don't know when I go back and change it, but you will see me change what's in here, and I will do a final look at what I did. But the big part of this was trying to decorate the outside of this, because I wanted it to look like it was going from this thick jungle to, you know, it was going to kind of die out after the ravine. I mean, not necessarily die out, but it wasn't going to be as thick, because, you know, adding the bushes and all of that looks fine when you're working with enclosures that are tight next to each other. Like, it didn't look that bad, but when you have something like this where it's a big feature, you know, enclosure, it kind of looks weird when you have all the bushes around it. Just, you know, it's so patterned, and it was just a pain to do. So, you know, because I want to have it, my idea is to have, you know, some normal looking enclosures, but have like feature enclosures that have a ton of animals that look more natural. So that's what this one is, and I'm gonna do a couple more for animals that are more, you know, extravagant. I guess you could say probably like the elephant or something. Ones that, you know, you would see having a lot more space. Ones that I can, you know, squeeze together and get them to be happy with one another. But, you know, this was an example of that. But, you know, next episode with the tigers, it's not the case. They have one of the biggest enclosures that is looking like isn't the ravine. So, I mean, I think it still turned out good. But as you can see, this placing took so long. It was such a pain to do. I think it did turn out well in the end, even though the pattern of the bushes that I placed were so redundant, or I guess you could call it. But yeah, as you can see, I'm starting to place them, and it's just the same pattern. I know I could have switched it up, but it's just, you just get to that point where you don't really care. And then I was going in with the lights here, which was just, yeah, I placed all these lights before I finished the research, so I didn't realize I had more access to lights. I would have liked to change these, but now that I've already placed all of them, and I didn't realize that I could have just duplicated the one, I'm so fed up with it. So because I literally went in here and turned all of them manually when I didn't need to. But I mean, I think it still looks fine since I placed them in the rocks and stuff. It doesn't look like it's that unnatural, I guess. So for this part, I went back and I had to redecorate the enclosure because I had made the mistake of, although I did choose the proper, I guess, you know, I did choose tropical, which is what they liked, but I didn't choose the proper continent, so they weren't completely happy, so I had to go back and redecorate it with the correct continent. And it kind of sucked because there's no trees, although I should have seen that coming because these are kind of more plains animals, you know, they don't really stick around trees that much, so I should have seen that coming. And of course I was constantly trying to fix the barrier to make sure that it would stop saying that they were escaping, because I'm like, they're not escaping, shut up, it's not happening, they're stuck in this ravine, which is kind of annoying. But at this point I realized that the males were starting to fight. I was like, what is going on? Like, why are you guys fighting? I would keep calling the vet. I didn't realize that you couldn't have more than one male in the enclosure, and yeah, it took me a while to realize that I had to sell one of them. But hey, if you're looking for some quick money, get the bison, because, I mean, they pop out babies pretty fast. But here's just the, you know, live preview, I guess you could say, the live showing of what I made. It's not that extravagant, like I said. It definitely looks a lot better once I add the animals in the future, and, really go back and add in some of more, you know, aesthetically pleasing things. But I think it's good now. And here's a little zoom out shot, and I thought I was so far into the zoo, and then I zoomed out and I was like, oh my god, I still have so much to do. Like, it's because everything's so compact, you know, everything was so close together. And yeah, I think it made it look like I was doing a lot more than I actually did, you know. I'm not that far, but here is another shot of them fighting. Yeah, I was just so confused at that point, but I thought it was cute. I was like, oh, they're just fighting, that's really cute. Like, I mean, they're getting hurt, but it's fine. And here I'm adding in the African buffalo. These things were way too expensive for what they are. They die pretty fast. They're like decent animals, but they just like, why are the females so goddamn expensive? I could not figure it out. It took away a lot of my funds, to try to buy them, and I was buying them like over the course of like a couple hours, which in this game is kind of a lot to do. But I did end up getting, some males and females. Of course, I did not realize that you also could not have more than one male for that, but now I know. So, you know, I just placed them in, and it was funny because I placed them in and then I realized that they were kind of stuck inside of each other when the keepers went to place them, they like got stuck inside, and I couldn't figure out why they were not moving for the life of me. I was like, okay, well, like, okay. I didn't see the second head. I just saw that one buffalo, and I was like, what's going on? I was like, okay, I guess they're frozen. Maybe it's because, you know, I didn't know. But I definitely think that this little enclosure type situation was good. It was nice to have a little centerpiece like this that kind of was different from the other enclosures that I had. That was kind of an anti-enclosure, I guess you could call it. Like, it doesn't look like a normal zoo enclosure, so I'm definitely going to have a couple of these throughout the zoo for the more extravagant animals, or the ones that actually can live with other animals, just so it can be, you know, a little switch up of the actual like, normal zoo feel. But there's when I moved it out of its body, and I figured it out. I finally figured it out. I just thought it was funny that I had to manually move them over because they kept getting stuck inside of each other. So, I mean, that was pretty entertaining to figure out. Anyway, if you guys somehow made it to the end of this video, that's a goddamn miracle. I don't know what else is, but thank you guys so much for watching, and bye!